we haven't fought. Imagine that. They gotta lie.
Sit your ass down.
They gotta lie. They gotta lie
down.
all the time. They
Sit
can't
your
even believe their own lie.
down, bro.
You can't even believe your own lie.
I want to be the best. So when I see certain guys out there, and I seen Teo his last fight, I was there front row, and I'm like, damn, this dude is like, he like a baby Roy. Like he like doing things with his hands down, flashy.
Too much of it. You know, I think that he believes in himself. That's one thing. But I'm here to destroy his dreams and all that he wants to do and become. You can't take this from me. I worked very hard for it.
When that press conference went down, Teo dropped some serious heat on Shakur Stevenson. This man made it crystal clear that he's coming to deliver punishment in that ring. Everyone's calling him the underdog, but here's the thing. Lopez knows exactly what he brings to the table. He's telling anyone who wants to listen that sleeping on him is a massive mistake. This fighter is promising a performance so dominant that when the final bell rings, there won't be a single sing about his skill level, his power, or just how badly he wants this win. The intensity radiating from Teofimo Lopez right now is off the charts as this Shakur showdown approaches. His confidence is through the roof and his focus is laser sharp as he keeps saying he's gonna take complete control once they're between those ropes. This is all about proving his technical ability, his knockout power, and his game plan execution. What's going through Lopez's head right now is simple. He's locked in on victory and making sure everyone knows his capabilities are the real deal.
I'm gonna beat him up. I'm gonna beat him up.
And we know at one point you contemplated retirement. Seems like you're in a good place now. You're active. Where are you at right now? Where are you feeling about your career?
Meanwhile, this dude is mentally checked out, chilling on some beach in the Bahamas with a drink in his hand. But when it comes to business, Teofimo is sending a message that Shakur better not even think about walking away with the championship that took everything to earn. He's breaking down all the sacrifice that went into building his legacy, talking about how this belt represents years of grinding through struggle, absorbing pain, and staying dedicated when things got tough. For this fighter, stepping into the ring isn't just another fight, it's about defending everything he constructed through sheer determination and refusing to quit. The belief he has in himself is unshakable, and he's ready to protect his spot at the top. Lopez sees this whole situation as deeply personal, fueled by pride in all that effort he put in, and he's making it clear that nobody gets to walk away with something he earned through bleeding, staying disciplined, and never backing down. That's exactly how it is.
Of being in the ring,
Yes.
Shakur Stevenson, obviously
sure.
you guys are both in Las Vegas. I'm hearing that you did link up today. A face-off happened between the two of you?
Yeah, face-off happened, things of that nature, just to create the things that are in motion already. So we're really adamant about fighting each other next, and I can't wait for us to really lace it up. And I see him across the ring, and really when that bell rings, lights out for him.
What's it like seeing him now kind of face to face? When you look at him, what do you see? Because obviously you're not locked in just yet, and the closer it gets to a fight, obviously things turn a little bit. But when you do look at Shakur, what do you think of him?
I think I don't think too much of it. I think that he believes in himself. That's one thing. But I'm here to destroy his dreams and all that he wants to do and become. You can't take this from me. I worked very hard for it. I've bled for this. And I'm not taking nothing from him, but I just believe that what's gonna happen next is for destiny in the boxing ring to decide.
So here's how this expert breaks down the Shakur versus Teofimo showdown, and he's thinking this thing goes all 12 rounds, but those opening 6 could basically decide everything. The way he sees it, Shakur probably won't come flying out of his corner throwing bombs right away. Instead, he'll likely fight moving backward and study what Lopez is bringing to the table. Now, if Teofimo can take control or clearly win those early frames, that's gonna force Shakur to completely change his game plan for the back half, which makes everything way more competitive. The thing about Lopez is he's built for those early moments, relying on that explosive energy and power right out the gate, but the real question is whether he can keep that same intensity burning for the full distance. Once Shakur realizes he might be down on the cards from those first few rounds, he's gonna have no choice but to open up his offense later, which sets up this incredible finish with championship rounds that could go either way. On the flip side, if Lopez clearly drops those early rounds, then Shakur can just stick to his game plan and coast to a comfortable decision victory across all 3 scorecards. What this breakdown really shows is the mental chess game happening between these 2 fighters, where the timing of when they make their moves, how they manage their gas tank, and their execution round by round will determine who walks away as the winner.
Because I don't think that Shakur is going to come out and try to fight or take the fight to Teo in the first 6 rounds at all. So if he's fighting off the back foot, if Teo can make it so that he's convincingly, or he's convinced at least Shakur that he may have won 4 of the first 6 rounds, you know, if it's 4-2 in Shakur's mind going into the second half of the fight, or if I'm looking at him stealing those first 6 rounds, then it's an interesting fight going into the tail end, because Teo, to me, is a front runner, right? I want to see if he can carry his energy and his explosiveness late in the fight and not wear down. And then when Shakur starts to open up, you know, can you steal some of those championship rounds from him and make it like a close fight? I think if Teo comes out and does what he usually does, which is try to swarm Shakur early and keep Shakur on the defensive early, then he can try to steal a lot of those early rounds. And if he does that, then Shakur has to fight in the tail end of that fight. Now to make it real interesting. If I'm looking at the first 3 rounds, first 4 rounds, and Teo looks like he's losing those rounds convincingly, then it's an easy night for Shakur, unanimous decision in my opinion. You know what I mean? Because I don't think Teo is going to bring anything late in the game, you know what I mean, to this fight. I think if he is who he's always been, you know, he's going to get gassed after like the 7th round and then take some rounds off. And when he does that, Shakur will open up and start to try to pick him apart, pot shot him, and do things like that. But this is the perfect fight, narrative-wise, for Shakur, because I've been waiting for Shakur to get into that fight where, you know, he doesn't have the fight where he doesn't have his Diego Corrales fight, you know what I mean, where you think he's actually in danger. Shakur has been he's been outclassing everybody he's in the ring with. You know what I mean? Then the guys that you think could give him some work, like De Los Santos, I know people hate when I bring that fight up, but I want to see him actually in.
The fire burning inside Shakur Stevenson comes from this relentless competitive hunger, always hunting for the absolute toughest test the sport can offer. After watching how Teofimo Lopez performed in his last outing, what jumped out at Stevenson was that slick, show-stopping style that brought back memories of a young Roy Jones, and it sparked this burning desire to measure himself against that level of talent. This upcoming battle represents the perfect chance for him to truly understand where his skills stand against elite competition, while also working with a completely different strategic approach, especially when he thinks back to that earlier clash with William Zepeda. That fight was anything but typical and pushed him to his limits, but it ended up being incredibly valuable for his development, proving he could flourish when the pressure was on and things got messy. The lesson he took away was that fighters who bring that constant forward pressure are designed to test his limits, but he found a way to handle that style successfully, which only boosted his confidence even more. Now with Lopez in front of him, Stevenson believes he's completely ready to deal with the speed, the power, and all the unpredictable elements that come with facing someone at this level. His mental focus, his ability to adjust on the fly, and all that experience he's built up gives him the confidence that he can approach this fight with intelligence, treating it like the ultimate examination of his technical skills, his mental toughness, and his readiness to compete with the absolute best fighters in the world.
But bro, what is it about you that has you, looking at a fighter that you know is the truth and then saying, I want to fight him? It seems like it should be normal if you're a fighter, right? But that stuff is dying off in the game right now. And I feel like you one of the last of the dying breed that actually want real challenges.
Yeah, I'm competitive, bro. So it's like, I want to be the best. So when I see certain guys out there, and I seen Teo his last fight, I was there front row, and I'm like, damn, this dude is like, he like a baby Roy. Like, he like doing things with his hands down, flashy. And I thought it was cool. So it kind of made me want to get in the ring with him and see if he could do them things against my style.
Your last fight was against William Zepeda in July, and you fought a totally different way. It wasn't the easiest way or the best way to fight, but I think it was good for you and your development because it not only sent a message to the rest of the division, one up, your division at that time, and then the one above you, but it sent a message to the fans. But I think it also did something for you to prove to yourself that, man, listen, that wasn't like my best performance, but I showed you I can get it out the mud. What did that performance kind of do for you now that you look back at it?
Honestly, I think like styles-wise, I think that Zepeda's style is the style that's supposed to give me the most trouble. Like, guys that box and give me time to think is the guys that's gonna have a fit with me all night. But the guys who press me and put me against some ropes and throw a million punches, that's the style that's supposed to give me trouble. So I went out there and I prevailed against that style, and now I'm fighting against a boxer, which for me, it just makes it more fun. I don't have to deal with a guy that's trying to like wear me down so much.
Right.
Chris Algieri is breaking down why the Shakur versus Teofimo clash matters so much for the entire sport. His whole philosophy revolves around pushing for these matchups where the absolute best fighters step up and face each other, taking those big risks even though someone's gonna take a loss. Because here's the reality, fighters can still be considered elite even after taking some setbacks. What Algieri sees in this particular fight is the perfect example of that mindset in action, showcasing a premium level clash instead of just some wild slugfest with punches flying everywhere. The technical mastery and strategic chess match that's going to unfold will have fans glued to their seats, proving that quality beats quantity every single time. His perspective is that if Shakur gets the victory, it locks in his spot among the top 5 to 7 pound-for-pound fighters on the planet, even though plenty of people think he's already earned that recognition. The way Algieri sees it, this fight brings back memories of those legendary throwback matchups, similar to those historic battles between the absolute best fighters in a division. He's emphasizing all the drama, the skill level, and the legacy that these types of fights create, drawing comparisons between the excitement and tactical intrigue to those classic encounters that fans still talk about today, proving that elite level boxing continues to be just as exciting and significant as it's ever been.
Or the health of boxing on this side of the world. You know, listen, there's nothing like the Garden. We've both fought there many times. I fought in the big room. There's nothing like the Garden. Just the vibe, like you said, champ, that's around that. And this fight is deserving to be here. It's that good of a fight. It's that big of a fight, and especially like I said, like the health of American boxing. This is one of the best fights that can be made. And putting it in the Garden just makes too much sense.
But the idea of the turmoil, the eyes on it, the spectacle, the circus. Chris, you talked about the idea that Teofimo Lopez kind of lives in this. That's where he flourishes. That's what he loves. This idea that because there's so many eyeballs on it, it's going to be kind of a circus. Does that favor Teofimo a little bit when you look at the strategy? Yes, no?
I'm going to say well, I can't say for certain because there's no certain with Teofimo Lopez. He's one of the most up, down, left, right guys I've ever been around.
Mercurial, we could say.
I mean,
yes.
But when he is on, he's damn near unbeatable. I mean, he's such a good athlete. He has such a good boxing IQ. He's so physical and explosive. And again, I've said this on past shows. I've called him many times for Top Rank, been around fight weeks. And it just seems to me, the more out of sorts he seems, the more back against the wall it looks like, the more that he's an underdog, the better he performs. And this could be that kind of situation. New York is a tough place, man. They're already gibbering, going back and forth, saying like, you know, he reps Brooklyn, but there's kind of questions about his Brooklyn roots. Can he really rep Brooklyn in the way that he says he can? So he's already getting that heat for that. I don't know. It might be a good thing to poke the bear in terms of how well Teofimo's going to show up.
Paulie, that's a huge. You're from Brooklyn. That's a big insult to say that you're not really from Brooklyn.
Insult him a little bit.
Insult him a little bit. Insult him, man.
But I'll tell you what. There's so many thoughts in my head with this situation because Teofimo is at his most dangerous when he's counted out, and this is going to be one of those fights where
this man is going to be written off completely. When Bruce Carrington dives into this Teofimo Lopez matchup against Shakur Stevenson, he's pointing out a major weak spot in how Lopez operates, specifically his problems dealing with fighters who never stay in one place. Even with all that natural athleticism and those heavy hands that can change everything in a split second, Lopez tends to fall apart when he's facing someone who's constantly switching angles and keeping perfect spacing control. What Carrington is getting at is that Stevenson's calm demeanor and tactical intelligence could absolutely expose this flaw, making Lopez either overcommit on his punches or completely whiff on scoring opportunities. When Stevenson controls the distance and dictates the pace, he forces Lopez to fight the way Stevenson wants instead of letting Lopez impose his own game plan. Carrington is also pointing out that while Lopez is incredible during those explosive moments and aggressive firefights, depending too much on that raw power can actually work against him when he's dealing with a patient, constantly moving target. Stevenson Stevenson's defensive IQ and his knack for resetting after every combination might drive Lopez completely crazy, cutting down his effectiveness and draining his energy as the rounds pile up. At the end of the day, Carrington thinks Lopez has to completely overhaul his movement patterns and learn some patience if he wants any chance of beating Stevenson's technical excellence. This whole breakdown paints a picture for a fight where smart footwork, perfect timing, and ring intelligence could be the deciding factors, demonstrating that pure athleticism might not cut it against someone who's this disciplined and tactically brilliant.
I feel like Teo is going to bring the fight. He's very athletic. You know, he has a lot of explosiveness, and but I do feel like when it comes to Shakur, bro, his movement may frustrate him. The only thing that worries me when it comes to Teofimo is his frustration. Like, is he going to be able to work well with a mover? You know, we've seen, you know, difficulties that he had with Sandor Martin. We've seen the difficulties that he had with Jimmy Ortiz, guys that's been moving around and not staying still. Like, if you keep Teo moving around and he can't plant his feet, what can he do? We're going to have to find that out on, you know, January 31st. And I think Shakur, he's probably one of the best guys to, you know, move his feet, be on defense, being hella patient and frustrating a fighter, bro. Like, so, I don't know. We've seen Teo get frustrated to the point where he's asking himself, do I still got it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We got to see what his mentality is going to be like come January 31st.
Do you think that his experience on the biggest of stages, you know, his two biggest wins, he was an underdog. And both guys, ironically enough, were southpaws like Shakur. That play any factor to you, man?
Nah, styles is different. The styles are totally different. Lomachenko don't fight like Shakur. Josh Taylor don't fight like Shakur. Like I don't see, just because southpaw, that same thing will happen. I feel like certain techniques could be used to fight Shakur, yeah. But in terms of like that approach of the fight, nah. Like Shakur fights totally different. You gotta be able to do some out of pocket stuff with Shakur. You gotta throw while he's throwing. That's probably some of the only times that he's able to get hit. You know, only time he's open. So yeah, other than that, bro, it's gonna be a pretty tough night for Teofimo Lopez, but I feel like it's still gonna be an exciting fight.
Gary Russell is giving his detailed breakdown on Teofimo Lopez, but he's focusing on one specific version of this fighter instead of just talking about his overall abilities. He keeps going back to that Lomachenko fight as the perfect example, showing how Lopez is at his absolute best when he mixes that killer aggression with smart control. What Russell keeps hammering home is that Lopez's success comes down to staying cool under pressure, even while he's applying non-stop pressure himself, putting his opponents in really bad spots while making sure he doesn't give them easy counter opportunities. When you combine that intensity with discipline, it creates this incredibly difficult puzzle for anyone facing him. And according to Russell, when Lopez is fully locked into his strategy, controlling the tempo, using every bit of his athletic ability, and timing his attacks perfectly, he can completely take over rounds and keep even the most elite fighters playing defense the entire time.
Glad to say come up on that offense. Why? Because you got to stop and you play with me.
Yeah, nah, for sure. I mean, look, like you said, the first thing you said was bluffing McMuffin, right? So you don't think that he's gonna do that. Let's just say that's the case. Let's say he wins this fight, but he doesn't win this fight. Whatever happens.
Right, because you made a statement after he said, "Oh, let's see, I'm gonna go back down to 35." So which one is it, man? He kind of 6'7" with it.
There you go.
Come on, which one is it?
So let's talk about 140 then, because obviously there's other champions there. One who you've been going back and forth with recently online, one that you have history with, and you got other guys, Subriel there, somebody else you had history, Richardson Hitchens. What's the route for you going forward after your next fight?
After my next fight, unify. I've always let it be known. I want to be undisputed in my division. I want to unify. Anybody who got a title at the time, that's what I need to see next after my next up-and-coming fight.
Gary, just talk about, obviously your division is hot right now, this fight, your fight coming up. You know, maybe one of the biggest ones in Teofimo versus Shakur. Just looking at that fight stylistically, how does it play out in the ring?
It's 50-50. You know, in order for you to participate in this sport, you got to have a high level of confidence. I feel like both of them has a high level of confidence, Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson, but styles make fights. Naturally, I think Teofimo Lopez is stronger than Shakur. naturally, I think he has more athleticism than Shakur, and he got a good IQ on the sport itself. But Shakur, I feel like he's a more smarter fighter. He's a more technical fighter. You know, I'm not saying that he's a square or he's just a textbook fighter, but he's seasoned, he's poised. I feel like mentally he's more mature. Like, he don't go outside of the boundaries on taking risks. So
Most of the time you see fighters who can handle this level of competition really well, but Russell also breaks down how Lopez's explosive power gets even more dangerous when he mixes it with strategic patience, giving him the ability to land those fight-changing shots without putting himself in bad positions. When he studies that Lomachenko performance, Russell shows that Lopez's effectiveness isn't just about his natural talent or those physical gifts he was born with. It's really about executing smartly, adapting to what's happening in front of him, and staying mentally locked in throughout the fight. This whole analysis drives home the point that when Lopez fights with composure and sticks to a strategic approach, he transforms into this incredibly dangerous threat at the highest levels of the sport.
Oh, he's a born fighter. He's a careful fighter. And I feel like with Teofimo Lopez, he's going to be a careful fighter. You know, just because he's a careful fighter doesn't mean that he isn't punctual with how he do things. I think Shakur, he got a lot in his arsenal that he can use to make him be victorious as well as Teofimo Lopez. You know what I mean? So it's a 50-50 fight, and it depends on what fighters show up the night of the fight. Right. You know? But if I had to give you my whole honest truth, if Teofimo Lopez show up and is ready to fight just like how he fought Lomachenko,
Alright, that wraps up everything for today. Make sure you keep watching because we've got more coming your way soon.